What's going on, everybody? If you don't know, now you do know. You're officially tuned in to episode 16 of the Hfwb podcast series. I'm your host, Clifton Pope, and I want to thank everybody once again. For those who are watching right now on YouTube, make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel by searching Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business, and let's get those subscribers up and let's get those comments rolling. And I also want to thank y'all once again for those who are listening right now on Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify podcasts. Make sure y'all continue to download. Make sure y'all continue to stream every single episode of this Hfwb podcast, including this one. And just make sure to stay in tune with what's going on with everything Hfwb related. Y'all can continue to check out the healthfitnesswealthbusiness.com/CP website for the latest updates and everything. And it's been a crazy, busy day. I will say that, but I have enough time to, of course, make sure that the Hfwb podcast keeps on rolling, because without this, Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business wouldn't be as far as it was overall in the first place, because this is kind of like the engine that gets the car of Hfwb moving. So I got to get the podcast rolling. Enough of me talking about that. Let's get to what I want to talk about today on this episode. Of course, I've been studying everything that's been going on with the whole booster shots and everything. I'm pretty sure everyone's been wondering, has Moderna and Johnson & Johnson had the booster shot? Well, based on what's been going on last week, the CDC, it endorses the recommendations for the booster shot for the Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. And it's kind of a good thing, because it's allowing millions and millions of more people to have access to getting booster shots. Well, they got to get the first two shots first before they can even think about getting the booster shot. I mean, obviously with Moderna, if I'm not mistaken correctly, it's 6 months after they get their second shot, and that's after when they get their second shot and all that stuff. And with Johnson & Johnson, I want to say it's 2 months after the first original shot, they could basically get the booster shot. Now, for those who are still wondering, how can I get a booster shot? Well, first off, you need to make sure you get the first two shots before you can even think about getting the booster shot. Now, if you've made it as far as to say you've gotten vaccinated with the first two shots and you're wondering how you can get the third booster shot, well, let me break down the eligibility requirements that's necessary. Obviously, it's 65 years and older, 18 years or older who live in long-term care settings, 18 years or older who have underlying medical conditions, and 18 years or older who work or live in high-risk settings. Basically, the people who are eligible for the booster shot is basically the same people who were originally eligible for the original 2 rounds of the COVID-19 vaccine. They just added their own little twist to it based on what's been going on and, of course, how the numbers have been affected and all that stuff. So basically, anybody can really get the booster shot right now, as long as you basically meet the eligibility requirements by the CDC, what I just read. And overall, just make sure you just get yourself vaccinated with the first 2 shots before you can think about getting the booster shot, and it will all work out for you as well. I myself can honestly say I'm thankful and truly blessed that I am fully vaccinated and I received all my vaccines, including the booster. As a matter of fact, I was bold enough to get the booster shot and the flu shot at the same time, and it turned out fine for me. It really just depends on how your system overall can handle it at the end of the day, because I can't count how many times with me working at Walgreens Pharmacy I hear the same old questions over and over again. Oh, do you have the Moderna booster shot? Or is it okay to take the booster shot and the flu shot at the same time? And even the pharmacists that I work with every single time that I do work at Walgreens, they get tired of answering those questions over and over again, because I get it. They're paying attention to what's going on in the news and all that stuff. But don't just believe everything that you hear in the news. Do your own research, do your own homework, and make the best assumption for yourself at the end of the day, because that's the only way you're going to overcome, of course, this whole pandemic that we're still technically in, that we're slowly but surely putting an end to it, hopefully. And then the next big topic that I've been noticing as far as the COVID-19 vaccines is mixing and matching, which I personally think is the stupidest idea ever, but hey, what do I know? As far as with the whole mixing and matching booster shots, apparently eligible people could choose whichever vaccine they wish as a booster shot. Some people, I get it. I truly get it, and I really mean this when I say this. Some people, they may have a preference for the vaccine type, they want to receive the same one, or they feel like they can't wait for the same one. They want to mix and match and switch things up a little bit. And by all means, that's fine. As long as you're getting vaccinated from the COVID-19 virus, that's all that really matters. I could care less if it's Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. Just get yourself vaccinated as soon as possible. I know that's a common theme you've heard in the past on Hfwb, get vaccinated. So get yourself vaccinated. I don't really care if it's the Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. Just handle your business in regards to that, because all the available data that's out right now by the FDA and the CDC, it basically shows that all three types of the COVID-19 vaccines approved or authorized here in the U.S. continue to be effective in reducing risk of severe disease, hospitalization, and even dying, for instance, even against the widely circulating Delta variant. Basically, that's a statement that I just read from, I want to say, either the CDC or the FDA, one of them. Basically, what they're saying is it doesn't matter really which vaccine you get as long as you get yourself vaccinated, because it's better to get yourself vaccinated versus ending up fighting for your life in the hospital or having some severe disease that will eventually put you in the hospital, or worse, even being on your deathbed and having somebody plan your funeral over a silly decision that shouldn't even really be a decision as far as getting yourself vaccinated and protecting yourself against the deadliest pandemic of all time at this very moment, I might add. But overall, that's pretty much the whole mixing and matching and all that stuff. It's stupid. Originally, when I first heard about it, I thought it was a joke. I'm not gonna lie. I even went as far as to asking the pharmacists who I work with, who they will remain nameless. I even asked each of them what their personal opinion is, and ironically enough, they agree with exactly what I've been saying just right now, that it's stupid and that it's pointless, and I don't think it's the wisest decision to do. I even read something that even Dr. Fauci, even recommended that basically it's best to stay with the original strain of the COVID-19 vaccine that you got versus mixing and matching. But if you choose to mix and match, that's fine as well. At the end of the day, it's all about just getting everybody vaccinated to where we can put an end to the COVID-19 pandemic once and for all, because it's crazy and it's mind-boggling that since December of 2019, when this originated in Wuhan, China, and it's grown into the pandemic that it's been, it's literally about to be 2 years since COVID took over the whole entire world. Let that sink in for a second. 2 years later, we're still battling this deadly virus, and we're battling even more deadlier mutated versions and variants of this COVID-19 virus. Now, I'm not going to go into too much of a rant like I've done in past episodes. All I'm just going to say is get yourself vaccinated. I don't really give a damn at this point if it's the Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson. Just go about the process, do your research, make your own assumptions, do what's best, and get vaccinated with one of them as far as Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, because obviously the CDC and the FDA says it's all good and it's all effective either way, and if you want to mix and match, that's fine. Just as long as you're getting yourself vaccinated and help put in a decrease on the COVID-19 cases, a decrease in the COVID-19 hospitalizations, and most importantly, decreasing the COVID-19 deaths. I think that's all that really matters at the end of the day, don't you think? So I say we just get ourselves vaccinated if you haven't, and tell someone to do so and convince them, even if it means you have to call them every single day to do it. By all means, just do it. Because even the FDA Director of Vaccine Arms, Dr. Peter Mark, even said the ability to use any authorized vaccine as a booster will simplify matters for the people. So that just goes to show you, the FDA and the CDC is making it as simple as possible to get vaccinated. So I don't understand what the whole ordeal about those who are still fighting, oh, I don't want to get vaccinated. Well, we're in the deadliest pandemic of all time. Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, it's all FDA approved and the CDC signed off of it. You can mix and match and pick and choose which one you want to get to protect yourself against COVID-19. what the hell do you have to lose at this point in this overall situation is all I gotta say. But I kind of found that interesting as far as, the COVID-19 stuff and all that. Hopefully we continue to battle it, get everybody vaccinated, cut down on the hospitalization rates and the deaths and the cases overall, and the world will be back to where it once was pre-COVID-19. I still have hope that we'll return to that at some point down the road. When, I don't know. Who knows when this nightmare will end? Nobody knows. I for sure as hell don't know. But I remain very confident that the light will be at the end of the tunnel soon. The question is when, but you just gotta have that hope, because hope is the bright foundation for the future. And honestly, that's all we really have at this point. You gotta have hope in getting yourself healthy. You gotta have hope in putting the right things as far as the right type of foods and all that in your body overall within itself. And you just gotta have hope at the end of the day, because we're all wondering how we can get ourselves right and eat healthy and all that kind of stuff, right? I want to give you a quick couple of nutrition tips that I was doing a little research on that I found pretty interesting that I myself have implemented. And just in case y'all don't know how, I'm going to explain to y'all how you can do the same thing. Well, this is my personal favorite. I saw this, I think it was on menshealth.com or something like that. They're saying that one of the top nutrition tips for those who are starting out is kind of common sense, but for those who don't know, have protein with every meal. Because you want to know why it's important to have protein with every meal possible? Because protein is vital for muscle building in its own right, and it helps to burn fat. Remember how you could burn all that sugar, because sugar is what makes you fat and all that good stuff? That's where protein comes in. Because did you know that every additional pound of muscle burns 50 calories a day? And if you could eat at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight every day, you could basically increase your chances of having more huge muscles and just building those muscles to where you could be stronger and have more energy, to where you can burn all the necessary unsaturated fat, I should add, to of course make yourself the healthiest version of yourself that you can be. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what Hfwb is all about with one of its goals. And that's one little way I like to reintroduce health to y'all, since that's one of the goals of Hfwb, which is reintroducing health. Let me reintroduce protein by explaining to y'all it's vital for muscle building. Like, all you gotta do is just eat you some chicken breast or eat you a steak or something. Get some form of protein in you on a regular basis, to where you can not only feel full, satisfied, have overall your hunger tamed, but at the same time you're building that muscle, because you got to increase your muscle to build your hustle, right? And that's part of it, by getting your protein in. So overall, that's one nutrition tip that I found pretty interesting, that I feel like I would want to share with y'all. Another one that I found pretty interesting, and this kind of goes into my whole theme of fat doesn't make you fat, sugar does. Don't avoid all the fats. You just got to basically choose your fats wisely and substitute the trans fat and the saturated fat, which is basically the unhealthy fat, like the pizzas, the fast foods, the burgers, the french fries of the world. Such stuff that you could basically find in like animals and takeaway products and stuff like that. You got to switch your style up, right? You got to switch your style up to unsaturated fat, which is found in like vegetable products, for example. Like avocado is a good form of unsaturated fat that a lot of people don't know, because I look at that, I call avocado personally, that's kind of like God's personal healthy butter, because you could put avocados on anything, and yeah, it has a little bit of fat, but it's that good fat that will help make your body more healthier. See, you could even cook you up a little bit of salmon, squeeze a little bit of lemon juice on it for extra flavor, and boom, you got yourself a serving of unsaturated fat that is good for you. As a matter of fact, if you don't even feel like doing all that, you can even make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or have something that has to do with peanut butter on it, because last time I checked, peanut butter is a healthy form of fat as well, unsaturated, that I might add. So that's just a little bit of food for thought, ironically enough, on how you can get yourself right as far as eating better and providing yourself with overall better nutrition. And at the end of the day, it helps increase your muscle. That way you can build your hustle. And it's very, very important that you have the right amount of energy to where you can build your hustle, because at the end of the day, we got to get our money right, we got to get our health right, we got to get our finances right, we got to get our overall direction in where we're going and where we want to be at in life on the right track. And yes, you got to get your finances right, you got to get your money together, you got to, of course, live, well, you got to eat to live and all that stuff, because if you don't work, you don't eat, so you got to put in that work. That way the outcome is income to where you can cover those living expenses, to where you can have enough money saving as far as paying yourself first and all that good stuff. And most importantly, here's something that a lot of people forget. You know, they always get caught up in the bills and the taxes and all that, but there's a way you can actually limit the tax man's bite. You know, you got to have, like, say, the financial intelligence, right? Because financial intelligence and financial intelligence and financial education is what's key to, of course, limiting the tax man's bite, because you can have the financial intelligence to invest in ways to pay little to nothing in taxes. How you can do that? Starting your own business and employing people, or getting involved in real estate, basically. That's just a couple examples of spending time of figuring out how to move your money in a way that keeps you poor. Because, you know, let me rephrase that. Why spend time figuring out how to move money, or move your money in a way that keeps you poor to avoid taxes, when you could put the time and you could put the effort to learn how to invest your money in ways that makes you rich and decrease your tax burden? For instance, you know, you got your commodities of the world, like your gold, your silvers, your bitcoins. You got your real estate, to where you're going to take advantage of the tax breaks you can get off of real estate, which is something that I plan on getting myself involved in within the next couple of years. Also, build a business, build your own brand, and pay yourself and be your own boss and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking into doing that for health, fitness, wealth, business, as far as turning it more into a brand business and educating myself every single day on how to do that. So that's pretty much a way you can limit the tax man's bite. And another thing that a lot of people seem to be forgetting about over and over again is inflation. And for those who are just listening to the podcast for the first time and don't know what inflation is, basically, let me remind you that inflation is basically when the cost of living expenses go up, the value of the dollar dies, and it basically becomes worthless, because you're basically spending more money on the same item that it was a lot cheaper 5 years ago. Say, for instance, at the grocery store, now you're spending almost twice as much on that very same item that used to be a certain price, but now doubled in price. You see where I'm going at here with this? The cost of living expenses is going up, and the value of the dollar is dying down, because you're basically spending more money on the very same exact item that was a different price but originally doubled, which is crazy within itself. So don't forget about inflation, because the ultra rich who've made their fortune through hassles like real estate, gold, and silver, they remember that primarily. And as a matter of fact, it's almost probably a good time to transfer as much as you can away from the dollar and transition into, say, I don't know, maybe Bitcoin or something like that, because inflation within itself is a real thing. And if you think that's crazy, hyperinflation is something else, because I was reading actually a little story, I want to say yesterday, about what the Jack Dorsey was saying about hyperinflation, and his tweet that he put out as far as hyperinflation is going to change everything. It's already happening. Someone like him is already saying the sky is falling on inflation and all that stuff. But let me backtrack real quick. For those who don't know who Jack Dorsey is, he's basically the co-founder of Twitter, and he's actually the current CEO of Twitter, and he's also the current CEO of Square Payments, which is basically used to accept payments, debit, credit card transactions, all that stuff. But let me go into what he was saying as far as about his tweet and stuff, right? He was saying that hyperinflation is going to change everything. It's already happening. Things will get worse. You know, it basically comes with the consumer price inflation running basically like a 30-year high or something like that in the country. And it's been a growing concern, which is what I've mentioned in the past episodes of the Hfwb podcast. It's a growing concern that problem could be worse than expected. And by problem, it's obviously inflation, which once again is the cost of living expenses going up and the value of the dollar dying every single day. And it's funny too, because even the good old Fed chairman, Mr. Jerome Powell, he even said last Friday, if I'm not mistaken, that inflation pressures are likely to last longer than previously expected, noting that they could run well into nearly next year. But overall, they're still planning on pulling back on the extraordinary measures it has provided to help the economy that critics say have stoked the inflation run. So basically what he's saying is, as far as the Fed man, Mr. Jerome Powell, he's basically saying that the inflation pressures and all that, everything that's going on is more than likely going to carry into next year, but they're going to start pulling back on the very same resources and money that they funded originally into the economy to help get us out of the pandemic. They're going to start pulling back on that, and they're going to start taking away the money and all that stuff. Honestly, I feel like the moment that happens, we're going to go into a recession, and we might possibly have a Great Depression Part 2, because eventually we're experiencing obviously the biggest bubble of all time, and there's plenty of financial experts who have noted it. That Robert Kiyosaki says this over and over again, that we're dealing with the biggest financial bubble in history, you know, and it's eventually going to pop, and it's eventually going to crash, and you know, obviously we're trillions and trillions of dollars in debt because the government wants to keep spending money like they have a credit card and they want to swipe their life away and everything, forgetting that they got to eventually pay the balance back on that same credit card that they're swiping. And that's basically how the government is treating our economy to this very day and at this very, very moment, for those who aren't up to speed on pretty much what is going on right now. But anyways, back to this Jack Dorsey and what he's been saying and everything. Now, ironically enough, Jack Dorsey, he's a Bitcoin advocate, and he's obviously working on having Square being integrated with Bitcoin as far as having, you know, transactions taking place by, you know, if you own some Bitcoin. Actually, Jack Dorsey, surprisingly enough, he owns Bitcoin, he has facilities trading in it, and he has his own mining, cryptocurrency, and all that kind of stuff. He's basically saying it's better off to go with Bitcoin against this economy that is very, very unpredictable. Because, like I mentioned earlier, hyperinflation is a real thing, and it's getting worse, according to Jack Dorsey. And for those who don't know what hyperinflation is, it's basically a condition of rapidly rising prices that can ruin currencies and bring down whole economies, which is kind of where this country is heading slowly but surely. But if we don't get our act together in the next 5 years, we can have ourselves another modern day Great Depression, possibly. This is why we better get our investments right. This is why we need to save to invest to build something to where you can have your own little asset that puts money into your pocket versus creating more and more liabilities, which in return takes money out of your pocket. So, and it's not only just Jack Dorsey who's endorsing Bitcoin, saying that's the way to go. You got even billionaire investors, keyword billionaire investor Paul Tudor Jones. He basically is saying the same thing Jack Dorsey's saying as far as calls for rising inflation. He also owns some Bitcoin and sees it as a good inflation hedge. Clearly, and he basically, this is his quote that he said, end quote, "Clearly there is a place for cryptocurrency. It's winning the race against gold at the moment." That is pretty much what I've been saying literally the last few episodes, that I truly believe when I say that Bitcoin is going to be the future of money within the next 5 to 10 years. And if it's not going to surpass the value of the dollar, it's definitely going to be on the same level, to the point to where I guarantee you in the next 5 years, we're probably going to be buying our groceries with cryptocurrency. We're going to be buying cars and houses, and we're going to be buying a whole bunch of stuff really with Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that. This is why I put so much of an emphasis on getting some more Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the key is to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and all kinds of cryptocurrency when the market is down, because you can make more money once it comes right back up. Because just like the cryptocurrency market, it's kind of similar to the stock market. It has its moments when it goes up and it has its moments when it goes down. So a lot of people just want to sell whenever it's high, buy low and sell high and all that kind of stuff. I say you buy Bitcoin and you buy Ethereum when it's crashing and when the market is down, because a lot of people get out of the market when everything crashes, and that's where they lose money, and that's just not smart. Look at when Bitcoin and Ethereum is down in the market. Look at it like a sale going on, like for instance at a Walmart or something where everything's on clearance. You can basically buy cryptocurrency for clearance when the market is down. So my advice to y'all one last time is to buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum when the market is down, and ride the market as it rises back up, and then when the market crashes again, load up on more Bitcoin and Ethereum. Moral of the story is buy low, hold high, and sell when the opportunity is right or when it's necessary. That's what I would personally say when involved with cryptocurrency, or even stocks for that matter. That's what I would personally say. Now, a couple things I want to get to in regards to Bitcoin before I start to wrap things up here. I saw that the first US future-based Bitcoin ETF is launched, and I personally think that's just stupid, because ETFs is basically fake to me, because it's basically you're putting money in a fund that's not even really its exact product, you know, like gold ETFs and silver ETFs. You're better off buying the actual physical product of gold and silver versus an ETF, which is, in what Robert Kiyosaki would say, is fake money. So why would you buy something that's fake when you can have the real thing, you know? And I get it, you can't afford it at the moment, but if you save to invest to build and put it in your mind that it's yours, I guarantee you could pull it off if you try, trust me. But back to the whole Bitcoin thing, it's basically the ProShares future-based Bitcoin ETF. I believe it made its marketing debut on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker BITO, B-I-T-O. And basically the whole purpose of it, the Bitcoin futures ETF tracks contracts that speculate on the future price of the digital asset rather than the current or spot price of the cryptocurrency itself. As a result of the ETF, and the Bitcoin basically won't match. So that basically puts more emphasis on the point that I just made, that basically a Bitcoin ETF launched by the New York Stock Exchange, they're basically promoting fake Bitcoin because it's not going to match up to the actual value and the actual price of Bitcoin, but it's going to be damn sure close to it. It's basically buying knockoff cryptocurrency with this future-based Bitcoin ETF launch. And yeah, it racked in 550 million with the ProShares Bitcoin future ETFs shattering all these records and stuff like that. But I personally wouldn't bank on it in the long term. You're better off buying Bitcoin and Ethereum through the Coinbase app versus buying that ETF on the stock market. But that's just my personal opinion, but what do I know? Another thing that I found pretty interesting on Bitcoin, you know, is that banks are even starting to get involved with it. Like for instance, MasterCard, they're enabling its banks and its merchants on its payment network to integrate cryptocurrency into its product. As in other words, it's going to have Bitcoin wallets as well as credit card and debit cards that allow users to earn cryptocurrency rewards or spend cryptocurrency. And it's funny too, you know, I've been noticing a lot more in grocery stores and gas stations that there's a lot of these little Bitcoin ATM type machines where you can basically earn rewards, spend, and basically trade cryptocurrency and all that stuff right in your local grocery store and gas station. And it's funny because I'm going to say this one more time, mark my words when I say this, Bitcoin is going to be the future of money within the next 5 to 10 years. For those who are like, oh, I don't understand Bitcoin, I don't understand Ethereum, you better just get used to it, because Bitcoin isn't going anywhere, Ethereum isn't going anywhere. As a matter of fact, it's actually just getting started and it's only getting its toes in the tubs. So for those who are tired of hearing about Bitcoin, get over yourself, because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And like I said earlier, it's going to get to the point where Bitcoin is going to be looking the value of the dollar eye to eye. If not, it's going to expand as far as overall value, while the value of the dollar keeps on dying because of inflation. And ironically enough, Bitcoin is a good way to have a nice little hedge in fighting inflation, ironically enough. So that's something for y'all to remember. Now, before I wrap up another episode of the Hfwb podcast, I want to end it on some words of wisdom for today. Now, remember the whole theme that I've been doing as far as problem solving with the 7 dwarfs and stuff? We finally reached the 7th dwarf, and I know y'all are getting tired of me probably bringing up that concept, but I promise this is the last time, and I'm saving one of the best dwarfs for last, which is bashful. As in other words, don't wait for others to make a decision or take action for you, because you are your own boss. You need to make that decision yourself, and you need to take action yourself. Don't have somebody hold your hand saying it's going to be all right and all that stuff. Nah, just make a decision for yourself, take action for yourself, and determine how you could solve the problem on your own authority and on your own initiative. Because why is somebody going to make the decision and take action for you when it's your life, your decision, your actions that will make or break your character every single day? That's something that I personally won't understand, and for people who continue to do that, I hope y'all see the light of day where you need to stand on your own 10 toes and find common ground within the course of your life. Because you need to remember, the solutions that you may have may never be one of somebody else's priorities. So I just want that to sink in, and I want one more thing to sink in. And it's funny too, because I was looking at some quotes and I found an interesting quote here from DJ Khaled, out of all people, which he has a lot of wisdom, and more wisdom than people realize, because he says it like this. He says he's living a new life because, you know what, nobody is going to congratulate you on what you really deserve. And that's a nice little quote, and I want to end the Hfwb podcast, and I want that to sink in. No matter what, continue to activate the mind to the grind, because nobody is going to congratulate you on your accomplishments, and if they do, they really care about you and they love you and they truly support you. But a lot of it is going to be fake for the most part, because at the same time, they might be hating on you behind closed doors. And so overall, just don't pay attention to the noise. Keep on pushing, keep on doing what you're doing. And if you get some congratulations all the way, don't let it get to your head. Focus on the mission, and focus on the climb, and focus on the grind, because that's what's going to help everything out at the end of the day. Now, I want to end this episode by, of course, giving a quick shout out to everybody on PhD Productions. I want to give a shout out to my boy Laz. I want to give a shout out to Dave, and with Top Tier Motivation Fitness. I want to give a shout out to my boy Mike from Superior Audio Enterprises. We're linking up together at this Activate the Mind to the Grind News Conference, which is here located in Corpus Christi, Texas, at the All-Star Sports Bar and Grill. Make sure y'all purchase y'all's tickets November the 13th at eventbrite.com. That's eventbrite.com. Make sure y'all get y'all's tickets now. Yours truly will be speaking for Hfwb, and as a matter of fact, if y'all happen to make it to the event, for those who are watching on YouTube, I will be selling these wonderful Hfwb shirts as well. They will be on deck. They're still going for $6 a piece. Make sure y'all cash at me at $CPHFWB for $6 a piece. You can have you a nice little Hfwb shirt here. And then plus I got more Hfwb shirts. I actually got some brand new shirts that I'm waiting to unveil for the PhD Productions event on November the 13th. So I can't wait for y'all to check that out. And as a matter of fact, I got more Hfwb shirts, and I got more Hfwb merchandise coming the way. I got the Hfwb winter line coming with the long sleeve shirts, the sweaters, the warm-ups. I got that coming soon. I got the I got the Hfwb newsletter officially out still. Y'all check that out to keep yourselves educated. Y'all continue to follow at Hfwb, the official TikTok page for health, fitness, wealth, business. And make sure to check out the website, the official website, healthfitnesswealthbusiness.com/CP. And make sure to continue to subscribe to the YouTube channel by searching Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. Leave a comment, provide feedback, good or bad. I will continue to grow from it and get better from it because that's the Mamba mentality in me. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. And also, like I said, yeah, just make sure y'all get y'all's tickets for this Activate the Mind to the Grind News Conference, November 13th, eventbrite.com. It will be at the All-Star Sports Bar and Grill here in Corpus Christi, Texas, Saturday, November the 13th, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. I know you got 2 hours out of your day to get yourself elevated, to get yourself inspired, to get yourself motivated, and activate the mind to the grind and providing and receiving basically better tips and resources on how to activate the health, activate the finances, and activate your overall direction in your life and continue to elevate and power higher devotions within yourself and to other people around you. I don't want y'all to miss out on this because this is an exclusive event. As a matter of fact, this is so much of an exclusive event, we already got KIII News, which is located here in Corpus Christi, Texas, doing a little bit of a commercial for this event. And ironically enough, I did the commercial earlier this morning, and believe me, it felt surreal at the time that this event is about to go down, and it's going to be very, very special, and I don't want y'all to miss out on this. I really don't. So, November the 13th, Activate the Mind to the Grind News Conference. Yours truly from Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business, Clifton Pope, will be speaking at that event. And I don't want y'all to miss out on that exclusive sauce and some secret ingredients and a few gems I'm about to drop on y'all. This is very exclusive, so if you attend this event, you are very serious about elevating your life in every aspect. And believe me, you don't want to miss out. But that's enough of me rambling for now. I just want to thank everybody once again for tuning in to episode 16 of the Hfwb podcast. Make sure y'all continue to download it, stream it on Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify podcasts. Y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel by searching Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business. Continue to visit healthfitnesswealthbusiness.com/CP. Also be on the lookout for the first official ebook coming by the end of this year based on the Hfwb series. It's called the Health, Fitness, Wealth, Business Quadrant, although I might change the title maybe to switch things up a little bit. But the book is halfway done and it should be out sometime in December. I promise you'll get that book by the end of this year. I'm going to put some work in on that. And yeah, I thank y'all once again for tuning in to another episode of the Hfwb podcast, y'all. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, stay blessed. Salute. God bless.